Hello, beautiful souls. So today's question from someone in my community to receive channeled guidance on is, how can we ease the suffering of ourselves and of others during this time? And so let's tune in and see what Spirit and our guides have to share with us with regards to how we can decrease the suffering. There is indeed great suffering everywhere, globally speaking, and has been for quite some time, has been actually endlessly. There's not a moment in time that we can even scan for that has not included great suffering. And so what we would like to propose is this idea, this notion that perhaps pain is the inevitability in the human experience, but suffering is the option. We would like to propose this as it has been proposed by other great thinkers, by other great teachers as well, and just allow for it to be something that floats out there for you as a possibility. If pain is the inevitability and the experience of pain is quite global in this way, physical pain, emotional pain, even spiritual pain, psychological pain as well, then perhaps that can be considered a given, whereas the actual experience of one in suffering does not have to be so. And so how might you alleviate your own suffering in this way? How might you choose to opt for the experience of pain without having to presume that it comes along with an inevitable experience of suffering? What if the two actually are separate? What if the two actually are different? And in asking this question may be sufficient for you to recognize and delineate and distinguish between the two. For when you have, let us say, skinned your knee, for example, and experienced the pain, do you have the option in such a superficial wound example to direct your attention to the wonder and the beauty and the miracle of the human body to heal up almost instantaneously such a wound? You may watch the blood, for example, come to the surface. You may watch the blood cells and the pus, as you know it, also be exuded from the skin. You may watch the body's quite natural response to bringing healing and health and clearing and cleansing, as it knows how to do, for it is filled with immense wisdom, and this does not go anywhere. And so if it is only pain that you are experiencing as the stinging sensation that one experiences with such a superficial skin wound, then you may say, well, I am not suffering. However, you may choose the suffering option. You may limp about and create quite a story and even a scarring effect over how this wound came about, over the accident that was imposed upon you, or the unfairness that came to surface in order for this fall or this spill or this wound to occur. And so we would say, now we have suffering, of course. Now we have attached something to this pain, which in and of itself would only simply move through, be quite temporary, and then the body would create the healing and all would be well. And we have exacerbated the situation and the circumstances and the storytelling around it. Now, we are using a very basic example here. We are also not arguing that there is enormous suffering on the planet that goes so far beyond a superficial wound. It is deep, deep wounding and deep, deep suffering that so many are experiencing. Hunger is a form of suffering, as you all understand. And yet hunger, as you also understand, is preventable, completely. In fact, there are already the solutions, and have been for quite some time, to get all beings in all areas of the globe set up so that this is not an experience, so that this suffering does not have to occur. And yet it continues to occur, for there are systems and stories and policies and protocols, etc., ways of thinking that keep this in place, that keep this disconnection and what is that word? This poor dissemination of resources in place so that some experience hunger and deep poverty and suffering that goes along with that. You also know, as you have read and as you have heard, that those in the greatest poverty can be the happiest beings, of course, if basic needs are met for hydration, for nutrition, etc., or at the very least almost met. You can meet some of the most joyful beings on the planet that are the ones that you would say are in the greatest poverty. So there is much for the mind to contemplate here, and that is all we are asking for you to do. Contemplate the difference between suffering and between pain. Contemplate where in your own life you create suffering when really there is just pain, and if you allow for the pain to move through and you honor and acknowledge it and give it its space, and without a story or without a furthering of its experience, how this can be something of a healing experience. So we are bringing this forward first, for it is foundational. We will touch on it again in another message. It will come through over and over as you are expanding and allowing for your understanding to expand. And we thank you for your attention and for the question. With the greatest of love and the deepest of bows, we honor you in your journey.